A lot of new trucks and SUVs these days come with Nerf bars or cab steps. The problem with these things is they're big and bulky and often get in the way. Well, Amp Research has come up with their own solution to this problem called the PowerStep. The cool thing about these steps is they remain hidden until you open up a door, then they deploy so you can easily get into the truck. Today on Motorz, I'm going to show you how to install the PowerStep on a Ford F-150 4x4 pickup truck. The PowerStep comes with the electrical harness, the controller, 2 idler linkages, 2 with motors, all the required nuts and bolts, and of course, 2 running boards. To install the PowerStep, you're going to need the following tools. Of course, you're going to need your safety goggles and a Phillips and flat blade screwdriver, an 8 and 10 millimeter wrench, a 1/2 inch socket wrench, a 13 millimeter socket wrench, some wire strippers, some wire cutters, and a 3/16 Allen wrench. Now before we get started on the truck, we need to attach the motor to the linkage assembly using the provided screw and an Allen wrench or a Torx T30 bit. Just to the right of the wire harness cover, you're going to find the brake cable bracket. We need to install this extension provided by Amp Research to raise the brake cable up a few inches. And it comes out like that. Then tighten with a 1/2 inch socket. Located just underneath the driver's side door is the first mounting point, and that's where we need to install these 2 provided J-clips and the screws. They just slide on like this. Alright, once you've got the J-clip in there, make sure it's aligned up properly by putting the screw in, but then you want to remove it, get that brake cable out of the way, put the linkage assembly up in there, and put the screw back in. Next, mount the motor linkage assembly near the rear. Amp Research supplies 2 sizes of bolts for the linkage assembly, one for the top and one for the bottom. The long one goes up here on the top, the short one is the one that you want to put down here in the bottom. Then repeat the process again in the rear of the truck with the motor linkage assembly, putting the long bolt on the top and the short bolt at the bottom again. Now we've got all the linkages installed, it's time to get to the electrical, and to do that we're going to start underneath the hood by removing the fan shroud. There's these 7 plastic screws that just use a Phillips screwdriver and they come up. Now Amp Research provides all the wiring, which is a good thing, but there's a lot of it. So here's a quick overview of where it all goes. First, there's the controller that goes inside the engine compartment, and they have a wiring harness that easily connects up to that. Then immediately off of that is where you connect your battery and your ground. And further on down the line, there's a long one of these and a short one. This one goes to the driver's side, this goes to the motor linkage, and this goes inside the cab, which connects to the truck's wiring. And the shorter one goes along the passenger side and connects to the motor linkage on the passenger side. Now using the 2 long provided zip ties, take the controller and mount it to the wiring harness inside the truck. It just goes right around it like this. Connect the wiring harness to the controller. Now remove the fuse from the wiring harness, because next thing we're going to do is we're going to connect this up to the battery and the negative side. I've snaked the wiring along the driver's side of the truck, and now I can connect this up to the motor. The passenger side wiring went down from the engine compartment along the underside of the body here. And you connect this right up to this motor here. That's it. Now that I've finished hooking up all the wiring to the motors, I can put the fan shroud back on. final step is to get these wires inside the cab of the truck over by the door sill so that when you open the door, the controller on the Amp Research PowerStep knows when to deploy the steps. Using the supplied posi taps from Amp Research, connect the Amp Research wiring to your truck's wiring. Refer to the manual for information on which color combinations to use. Now that we've got all the wires connected, we can put the fuse back in. Reattach the door sill plates. Finally, attach the running boards with the provided screws. A common question we're often asked about the Amp Research PowerStep is its safety features. Now, Amp Research thought ahead and put a sensor inside the controller to detect any resistance that the step may have. For example, if somebody's standing on the step and you close the door, it's going to stop retracting. Likewise, if there's an object that's partially in the way, it's also going to stop retracting. I'm going to further prove the safety features by putting my arm down in there and see what happens. Now it is pinching a little bit, but it doesn't really hurt. And all you have to do is scream, and someone will open up the door. It'll come back down, and you're good to go. The PowerStep from Amp Research is pretty easy to install considering all the electrical wiring and all the moving parts. But here's the really cool part, is you close the door, and it magically disappears. For more information on Amp Research products, go to amp-research.com, and for more Motorz, go to motorz.tv. And please be sure to subscribe to our podcast on Apple iTunes.